Hello everyone. Hello Caspian, how are you? Um, so we're back in Houdini. We're going to have fun. Well, I hope we're going to have fun. Tuesday was absolute chaos. But that is kind of the for those of you that they might do. But Houdini is one of those software where sometimes you get stuck on a problem, and at least in my case, hyperfixate on said problem. And then things don't necessarily work out as planned. Now, granted, I've had lovely help from Ratat, and we got there in the end. Um, but ideally, I would like to avoid that happening a second time today. But we'll see if it does, and if it does, well, we'll deal with it. We'll handle it. We'll figure it out. Right. So there's a few things I want to achieve today. The first of which is I actually want this pattern to be indented rather than going outwards. Hello animations, how are you? So yeah, bottom line is I want to have this boolean inwards, so basically subtracting from rather than going outwards. Oh, wow, my screen just died briefly then, but hopefully it's all well and good now, or not. Let me see if I can adjust that. I'm not sure if it's coming through on screen, but I've got literally no visual right now. Let's see if I can remedy the situation. Right. So, bottom line is, couldn't get it to work last time. Would ideally like to get it to work this time. Before I get right into that, I'm just going to double check everything is working and well and good. Let's see. Right. Looking sideways because my cat is scratching at the door. Right. We're full of technical difficulties this morning. Let's do that. And I've completely broken everything. See if I can fix that. Should, in theory, be good. Hopefully. We've also got a storm, so that's not helping things, but okay. Right, so Boolean, want to fix it, should it be facing outwards, should go inwards, so that's one, let's say, goal for today. The other goal for today will be a little bit of organization. And I say organization, we're basically going to break the entire network because I'm not quite happy with how the archways are scaling. They're very finicky and they're not perfect and they're just not working and they're working procedurally, but they're not working in a procedural way that I enjoy working. It's very cluttered, very finicky. Right, so moving on, Boolean. So the problem I experienced last week was if I put this to subtract, it's not actually subtracting anything. So why don't you have redshift? So that's a very good question. I did have redshift because I was I was taught to use Solaris instead of redshift. Um, so when I was learning Houdini, my mentor said he uses Redshift, but Houdini has since been updated and Solaris is a thing, and Solaris is quite frankly quite brilliant. I enjoy working in Solaris. So due to that, I use Solaris instead of Redshift. I haven't rendered in a while in Houdini. I predominantly render in Arnold, but I mean, you can do it in Houdini, obviously, and it depends what you're doing, right? For modeling type of things, I generally prefer just doing it on Maya because that is my comfort zone. Houdini is brilliant at rendering and often faster as well, but that's just my preference. For effects, haven't really worked on effects, so I can't really speak for that. So yeah, bottom line is I don't have like a official reason for not doing it other than it's just not something I was taught. But there's nothing wrong with Redshift. There's no like magic reason for why I don't use it. It's just a case of haven't used it before. So yeah, that is that. Now, which one is better, Arnold or Solaris, and which one is fast? Solaris is faster. It takes longer to set up, but it is faster and it's so much easier to do lighting in Solaris than it is to do it in Maya with Arnold. There's very useful things like you can place your light, and if you click on a certain area of your mesh, it changes the light so it shines basically from an angle. From the angle you need in order for the light to reflect on that specific area. Where Maya you have to manually adjust and hope for the best. Quickly going to let the cat out because she's being an absolute menace, and I'm pretty sure you guys can hear her scratching in the background. So I'll be right back. Right, I'm back. But yeah, bottom line is Solaris is quicker. Arnold is more user-friendly. So it is a bit of a toss-up, right? Because it depends what you're comfortable with. If you're more comfortable in Maya, Arnold and lighting and rendering in Maya will always be easier. Because the more you do something, the easier it gets. So I personally render more in Arnold, so therefore I am more comfortable in Arnold. But I've done lighting and rendering probably for 3 projects in Houdini specifically, or using Solaris. But as I mentioned, haven't done it in a while because at least professionally, I don't do rendering at all. Because most of the work I'm working on the modeling. I'm not working on the lighting and rendering. Most of it is for games. Some of it is for films, TV series, that type of thing. In that scenario, you have dedicated lighting and rendering artists. So it's kind of a bit out of my wheelhouse. Right. So in terms of what was going on here, for Union to work, actually I lied. So starting over, this was all set to surface, and that does give a good result, and everything works well and good. But if you're set to surface, if you treat the object as a surface, and you change this to subtract, you get this type of result, which is not what I wanted. I don't want the edges. I want it to actually be subtracted out, and I want the geometry to curve. So that just needed to be set to solid, and then we've got our boolean working all well and good. Right, so that was one of the things I wanted to do today. Regarding what else I wanted to do, because that went surprisingly quicker than I thought it would. So what else do I want to do? I actually want further detailing on this area here, because that's too plain. Now we've also got other problems going on here, like for example, zoom out a little bit. This is clipping through, and I don't particularly like that. Are we going to fix that today? I'm not sure. We might, we might not. We'll see how far we get. But yeah, okay, bottom line is, next order of the business is going to be detailing to here. Now, I've got 2 thoughts. I can do what I did for the pillars themselves and just extrude it a little bit inward, and then, well, insert it, then extrude inwards. Or alternatively, I can boolean a pattern into this, which could be fun. It could be really fun to boolean a pattern into that. If we do a pattern, we're going to run into an issue at some point where the top and the bottom, well, yeah, roof pedestal thing, and the pillars will be a lot more detailed than everything else. But I think it'll balance out once I add um, geometry in the corners here, and also in this area here. So there's options, and this is one of the reasons I love and hate Houdini at the same time. Because you can do literally anything. Well, you need the right knowledge to, obviously. But you can do literally anything, and it's often a choice. Well, what do you want to do? And not only that, yes, it's all procedural, and yes, I can change things as I like, but at some point this network will break. And I can't make everything in a way that I can change it at the end, right? Because I've got a control here that, where is it? Down here at the bottom. I've got a control that adjusts things like height and width and the height of the pedestal and so on and so forth, which is brilliant. But the problem therein comes when you have too many parameters to change, because if you change too many things, this network will eventually break. So if I decide that now I want to be able to scale the archways independently, I want to be able to scale the pillars independently, I want to be able to change the size of the pillars. These are all things that I could potentially do, but if I have too many of them at the end of the network that I can change, eventually it's just not going to work because there's too many areas working against each other. Now, if you're absolutely a mastermind, you can make all of these procedural. But in my case, yes, I have got quite a bit of knowledge about procedural modeling in Houdini, but I'm by no means a master. That's the goal. The goal to be a master at this in it one day, but to do that, I need to work in it every day, which I don't quite have time for. So, plan of action. Firstly, this area. I think in this case, I'm going to start off with a basic extrude, see if I like what it's doing, and then we can go from there. And if I don't like it, we can change it to also a boolean probably of some sort, and we can decide whether we want it to protrude outwards or go inwards. Lots of things to play with. Right, so we're talking pillars. So that is over here. Just switch my screen around slightly, otherwise my neck is going to break by the end of the stream. Right, so we've got two extrudes. I just want to see what each one is doing at. That one is specifically for this area here. Alright, so this is doing what? That's extruding that part. So we technically want the sides, in theory. Not looking for thickness. We want side groups. Right. So, in theory, the side groups should now be those ones. No, I don't want to do that. Go away. That one. That one. Okay, fantastic. I also want the geometry spreadsheet, so let's split paint top bottom. Now, do you need to work with a geometry spreadsheet? Maybe not. I like working with one because there's just a lot of information there that you can utilize, and it is a way to basically see what we're actually doing. Because oftentimes, especially with grouping, you don't actually see what it's doing by default. Right. So we've got that. Now I'm quickly going to, can I view that? Okay, fantastic. It does work. Right, so the only thing I don't like right now, I'm just going to build this off to the side for a second, is it's selecting all of these. That's actually interesting, but that's not what I want to do. It's break everything, delete channels. That's the downside of duplicating things around. So I just need to zero everything out. Right. Right. If I insert this now, it's not doing anything because, well, it is, but only at the top. Let's actually change that to the side. Let's change that to the side. Hello. Where's my side group? did I? Let's quickly see where this is coming from. That is all well and good. Oh, I put the group in the wrong case. I do need those. Let's see. Okay. So that's going to be output side. And I do want the side group. Okay, fantastic. Got it. Right, so if I actually insert this, this is not doing anything. Really. It's not doing, or rather it's not doing what I want it to do. So let's see what individual does. If that improves the situation. No. Specify group. That one. Right. So it does that. And it's not what I want to do at all. So let's firstly see what's going on here, because there's definitely something weird going on. More than is supposed to be happening. Let's see. We don't, it's the amount of divisions, so 3 divisions is too much. Right, so my first thought process is, I've got 2 problems. The first problem is all of these faces are insetting. Now maybe we want that, but possibly not. I would ideally want this to select this entire front and that entire front and so on and so forth. So there's kind of 2 ways we could potentially do that. We could try a group by range. We could try masking by direction, by normal direction. So let's firstly try the group range. Let's try that first. So that's going to be, we're going to avoid the extrude for now, and then lose a group by range. Group by range, fantastic. We wanted to focus on the extrude side. Let's quickly view that, and then I'm going to change this to, what do I want to do? Oh, I probably need to give it a name. Oh no, go away. Okay, so the group name, base group, actually. That needs to be the base group. This needs to be the group name. Right. Let's just call it pattern selection for now. And then see if I can select every second one. I think we actually now go and view pattern selection. It is selecting every second one. So that's brilliant. Right. Fantastic. Now in theory, this could be done in 2 ways. We could split it out and do 2 extrudes. And I think that's probably the direction we'll go. So let's do that. So group around, extrude, side pattern selection, and in theory I should have 2 for pattern selection. In theory, but I do not. We'll work, but let's see what we get. Let's see what we get. So that's going to be pattern selection. See if this is actually doing anything. Yes, it is. Now, something I'm curious about is whether I can specify to do multiple. No, I cannot. Okay. So that is that one. And then in theory, I want to then invert this group. So that's going to be invert, group invert. And that is going to be pattern selection. And I'm just going to copy and paste that. And this is going to be 2. Why not? Okay, but the problem with that is we're actually getting the bottom faces as well, I think. Let's turn that off. Yeah, because it's inverting entirely. Right, that's not what I want. I wonder if there's a way to output two groups. We could also invert this range, but that's just going to give us not what we want. Okay, we could offset it as well. So that would be, let's say let's just do two group by range, why not? Okay, so we're going to do two group by range, and this is going to be merged down the line. So group by range, and we're going to offset it by 1, and this is going to be 2. Now, is there a different way to do this? Yes, there is, most likely. This is just the simplest of what I could do while still being tiny bit not quite awake. Right, so let's do that, and then this is going to go 2, no longer 1, so that it gives us that, this gives us that, and in theory, we should be able to merge this and then extrude both if we output the front group. So output front group, and we're probably going to have to do a group cleanup at some point because we've got a plethora of groups here. So let's do a merge. And then, let's see. And then, let's see. Okay, extrude. And then that should be able to go into there. Now we've hopefully got something magical working here. So we want 1 and 2. And then distance. Okay, we've got some weirdness. Why? We've got some weirdness. See, we don't want to change that. Maybe. There is something weird going on. Okay, got it. So, problem. We've now got 2 pillars. That is why it's not working, because we've got a pillar here and we've got one there. So they're technically overlapping. So, instead of doing that, we're going to connect these 2. And then hopefully, if I do a poly extrude and add both to them, it still does not work. Okay. But we can in theory still do the second extrude, but add it to the same network. In theory. But whether Fury is going to work in this case, who knows. Now this network requires a serious cleanup in this area, but we'll do that once we've got everything working. Right, fantastic, that is working. We can forget about the merge and do the final extrude. Right, and that needs to go inwards. Now bear in mind, if we go too far inwards, it's going to overlap in any case, but we don't necessarily need that far. So that. Now this will eventually connect down into these, so just do that, and hopefully everything still works. I don't want to be templating. Okay, so this is extruding both, so what we probably need to do at this point is do a cleanup of the groups. Because what it's doing, if we look down here, this is referring to extrude front, but we're using that, I believe, twice. I believe it's twice. So let's quickly see what's going on here. That is all well and good. We, in theory, only want front. No. Get rid of that group for a second there. See what's going on here. We're getting the extrude front, getting output side. Don't want to preserve groups. Let's see. no, in theory, that still does not work. So we're definitely getting another front outgroup because this is obviously condensed down to just like the front, which is fine. Quickly turning the AC on, because it's warm here. I know it's cold in America and so on and so forth, and in Europe, it's very, very warm here. Right, so thoughts in order. Let's see if we do a group delete. Now that would have to be after that point or before that point. And then I'm just going to put a star because I want everything gone. I don't want it gone. Okay, we need that as well because that is giving us the insert. See if we do it at this point. What is this referring to? Pattern selection. We do need that as well. Right, so we can't do it that way around. Can't specify all, so what we can do is select the individual ones in theory. I'm just going to void this so I can see what's happening where. So that's all related to the top. This is related to this area here. Alright. In this case, we no longer need pattern selection 1 and 2. We no longer need pillar top and bottom. We don't need extrude front or extrude side. I think in theory. Now these are all in theory. Obviously this might fail catastrophically, but if it does, we'll revisit it and see what we can do to fix it. Right. So that is now working. Brilliant. It was just the number of groups. Got a lot of groups, got a lot of extrudes, and they were just basically overlapping and creating a mess of things. So let us see whether I'm actually happy with what we just created. Now I am, except for the fact that we're now encountering a new problem, which is this is going through the pillar. Now, how can we fix this? We could, in theory, fix it by booleaning the two together prior to extruding. So, in other words, before we extrude this inset, if we boolean this with that, it'll still not work with it though. Okay. Let me think how we can approach this. We could, in theory, change the shape of this a little bit, make it bigger, and that'll fix that. Or alternatively, we can forget about this plan and have it extrude outwards, but that's going to look pretty ridiculous paired with the inward extrusion down at the bottom. Or we could boolean a pattern instead, as I considered earlier. Okay, let us see what we can do. Let's firstly try Boolean. Let's try Boolean. Maybe it breaks everything, but maybe it doesn't. If it doesn't, we'll be good to go. This network still needs a cleanup. I'm very, very bothered by how cluttered it is, but at this point it's functional and I'm kind of scared to break it, so. That is all fine and good. Let's see what we're working with here. So we actually wanted it at this point. Let's grab that. My boolean is all the way down here. Now we wanted to boolean together before this extrudes inwards. So we can add the inserts, but I think it's probably better to do it prior. Let's boolean those, and this needs to be set to union. And that's not going to work because the placement isn't there. So we need to place it before we do all the extrusions, because we've not got the pillar at the proper location. I think. Right, that's what I do. That's what I do, because we've now run into the problem where I need it to be placed before the extrude, but I'm a firm believer you need to do your modeling before you do your placement. But in this case, I'm probably going to have to break that rule. Okay, so we are going to grab these. And the worst part of it all is I know for a fact that I'm probably going to swap out the extrude for Boolean at a later point. Pattern Boolean, not the combining the whole thing Boolean. But okay, we'll work with it. So that is going to be pre-extruding anything. So we need to split the network off at that point. Just going to move this down. So I can move that up, and this can go to that. Right. I don't think we've got anything related to placement at that point, so that should be fine. And then this should in theory go into that. Alright. We've not got the top. We've not got the top. Where's the top? So that is that pedestal pattern thingamajig. So technically need to take it at this point, which is also not ideal because we've got this entire pattern thing going on, but okay, we'll work with it. Let's just see if it works for now. That's always a good start. Do that, and then that. That is all union together. Brilliant. I don't think we've got any groups on here. So in theory, we should be able to plug this into that and have it still work. I was wrong. We've broken it. We have, okay, so the reason it's breaking is because we've now got too many players. So what we can in theory do is instead of merging it down from the poly extrude, we can take the group ranges and add these to those, because we're not going to lose those groups because we've not got a group to lead anywhere. And we do want this to continue working, because now when we copy it, we're also copying the groups around, so the groups will stay, and then we can hopefully have something functional. And we do. Somewhat. It's not perfect. But what if we leave the sides plain? So let's try that. I'm not sure which is which. Let's avoid that for a second. And that can work. Let's view it all together and see what we're going towards. This breaks at some point. Why is it breaking? Because got the pillars, that's copying across. Shouldn't be there. We should be going from here to there. But it's still broken. Because we're taking this down into that. Let's see if we can do that. Okay, brilliant. So this was connecting to the control, which is fine. I'm not really liking where this is going, because this is not connected to the control at all. Probably needs to be connected at the Boolean point, but problem is then we're going to have overlap because it's coming from two sides. So what if instead of going from the copy to point, we grab it from the control? what is visible at the control point? Only this. So that can work. That's going to go into the Houdini. That still works. And those extrudes in theory should still work. And it's broken again. Why? Because that's also connected. Brilliant. Okay, we've got it working. Now, fingers crossed, we've not broken our control point. We'll see. We'll see. This control point has gotten absurdly slow, by the way. Probably the network is just too big for what I'm doing right now. It is fine. It's referencing a lot of things at the same time. Be that as it may. But I'm happy with the overall progress. Now the height at some point breaks, which is, it's not ideal. You'll notice the roof is going higher than the actual pedestal, rooftop thing. So what we could do is, instead of doing an obscure number that's being referenced in the transform, we could in theory do a match size based upon these two pedestals, and hopefully it would made a box that does the size thing. Okay. I explained that very badly, but let's see if it works. If it works, I'll explain it properly. So that's going to be a match size. Let's see what this does. Let's see whether that does anything. It does not change based upon, which is not ideal. And scaled fit. Not uniform. Alright. Ideally, okay, that's working. Not working. Why are you not working? Briefly worked. Very briefly worked. Right. Let's just go with it and see what it's actually doing, because it's very hard to visualize just from a match size standpoint. So I don't think we actually want to scale this though. So let's turn scaling off. We want to translate the roof. The roof is coming all the way from up here. And their transform is down at the bottom here. This side, I believe, is the top, and that one is the bottom. So the bottom is working. The top is not working. And the value is the same, so in theory it should have worked. But we're going to avoid that one. No, not that one. This one, I think. No, that one. Okay, it is that one. Fantastic. So we're going to void that and see what happens if we quickly grab the match size. So we're going to move that up all the way. Plug this into that. Plug that into this. I want you to. It's going to be not minimum. Center. I wanted it to be on top of max, minimum, minimum. Okay, that goes there, that goes there. Now I have my doubts of whether this is going to work. I have my doubts, because it will really depend whether this match size actually sticks to what we say. And it does, but it's also scaling it, which we don't actually want. So where is our match size? We've avoided the height and the width So technically we still need the transforms, but what I can do is I can delete the reference that's referencing the height, or the placement rather, and then I can keep that in as part of the network, and then disconnect that area and do that. Why is it still translating? That is scale related. The flip side is I can do it after this. So let's do that way around. Plug that into there. Move that. Now in theory, well, we should be good to go. I think we are. Let's see whether it stays functional or breaks at any point. No, it stays functional. Even tiny, hopefully. Even tiny. We've broken something else. Why is it broken again? Trying to see at what point it breaks and why. It's almost as if there's two sets of pillars. There is. Why is there two sets of pillars? That is very, very weird. Okay, well, we're going to pillars and seeing which of these are branching off and going in twice. From the looks of things, nowhere. That is boolean together, so that should in theory be fine. Not sure why there's two sets of pillars, but it's fine, I guess. I mean, it's only visible if you make it really, really tiny. I'm not sure how far we could push it. I mean, at that point, everything is ugly. So, I mean, if it breaks at that point, does it really matter? I think it's fine. I think it's fine. Right. So, we've achieved quite a lot in this first 45 minutes. I'm very happy. We've switched this boolean around, so it's actually indented. This is now also indented. At the top of the pillar, we've fixed our roof. That was not staying on top of the roof. There was a gap. We've also made a cluttered mess of the network, and by we I mean I made a cluttered mess of the network. So I think organization will be a good point to start. Let's so that we can actually see what's going on here and how we can fix the situation. So. This is insanity. Right. This is pedestal pattern and the pedestal itself. So I think we can probably paste this inside of that. Will I be adjusting this at some point? We can move the match size of this for a reason that I do not know. I don't know what that was doing, but we're going to get rid of it. So that is that. I'm gonna remove that so that we don't really see it. But what if we want to change the patterns? Right. So what we could do is we could implement a control just for the pattern controls that we're actually going to be using, so that I can get rid of this or hide it, so I cannot see it, so that it is not there and I didn't see the outer chaos that is it. Choices. Which part of this will we actually change? Possibly the sweep. Possibly not the sweep. I don't think we'll change the sweep. I think the only thing I really want is the control for the pattern. So, let me just quickly make a note of that so I can actually remember what our plan is. So that's going to be pattern control. Right. So pattern control, and then the other thing we want is nothing. Right. So pattern control for that one. this network, these are all things that are doing stuff that we do not need to control. The cylinder itself, we've since decided, but we are again, me and I, that we didn't want the ability to change the height of the pedestal. I played around with it quite a lot, even offline, and I decided it's not worth the trouble of trying to change the size and height of the pedestal itself. They only to break the pattern. Because the pattern, in my opinion, is more important than the pedestal. So, therefore, we only need one control. And the rest can all be hidden away in not previsible, not controllable. And I think what we are actually going to do is we are going to try to think what the node is called, because we could in theory put this in a, what do you call it? Is it called a sub-network maybe? I don't typically work with sub-networks, but I think in this case this network is getting big enough where we can kind of validate it. So that's going to be a sub-network. And we're going to include this. No, nothing. Can I just... Is it called a sub-network? Can I put this inside of that? Let's see. Let us see. No, I don't think it's called a sub-network. What is it called? Let's see. Google is your friend. This subnetwork. Okay, I've got it wrong. Okay, so basically, select these and then Shift C. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Snap Houdini and I'm already lost. Hello, Shining Almond. Yes, but to be fair, you're in good company because I am also lost. So, it's been chaotic, but it's been fun as well. So this is the pedestal pattern, and now we can remove all of these boxes because we can now, if we want to go edit this, just go into this, which is brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So still got everything, but we've got it decluttered. Now nothing can be controlled within this network because I don't want to be able to control things here, because the only thing parameter I actually want to change would be the shape of the curve of the pattern. So due to that, we can basically ignore it. And this is the pedestal itself, and again, same thing. So I'm going to put this into another network. No, it's not Control C, it's Shift C. And this one is the pedestal itself. Brilliant. Let's just make sure I've not broken anything. I have not broken anything. Brilliant. So that is the pedestal, this is the pedestal pattern. None of that is going to be controlled by anything. I'm quickly going to do that actually, because I actually want to add these into that as well. Can I? Oh no. I've broken everything. But I really want to do that bit. I've not broken everything. Brilliant. And this is the pedestal itself. And then we've now got a much more organized thing to work with. That goes into the control, like we actually do want to be able to edit. I'm already much happier that we've got one side of the network decluttered. So we want another control, and this is going to be the profile of. Then I have to change it. Alright, and remember why I didn't add a control for this, or a separate control for this, because I don't think you can copy and paste the placement or something. Because I don't want to reference it, I physically want to copy and paste it. Copy parameter. Let's try it. Let's get the benefit of the doubt and try it. So that is going to be edit parameter interface, and hopefully we actually get a menu. Hello, different screen of course. So let's grab that. We want it to be param. Is it a flat there? I think it's a flat. So we're going to label this ornament button, possibly. No, let's make it easier. I'm calling this a platform again. As you guys know, I call it a platform, but it's not necessarily a platform, but I know it's a platform. So, it makes sense for me, and at this point, I'm the only one working on the network, so it's fine. Platform pattern. Platform pattern. Why not? Right. Brilliant. I'm going to leave all of that. Accept it. And now, let's see if we actually go into this. Move this so I can actually see what's going on. And that's going to be attribute swap. And I want to see if I can copy this. Copy parameter. And go here. And I don't want to paste relative preferences. I want to change this to. I want it to change. Let's see. Paste values. And then I want to copy this parameter and go back into this, and I want to say paste relative preference. In theory. Now, if I change the shape of the control, it should hopefully, fingers crossed, stay functional. And it is. Absolutely brilliant. It is functional. I've not broken everything, which is a miracle. I'm good at breaking stuff today. Sorry guys. Right. So that is all functional. And we've got a slightly more. Oh wow, I've just spilled water everywhere. Okay, hopefully we should be good to go now. Right, so we've not broken everything. It feels like I'm watching someone decipher ancient runes for alchemy. How long did it take you to learn this? It is. It does feel like doing alchemy actually. In some senses, I absolutely love doing this. It's very problem solving related, which I thrive on. There's a reason I don't sculpt the ZBrush, by the way. I don't, however, I get bored. But yeah, so regarding how long it took me to learn this, I've not consistently been learning Houdini in the sense of I've not taken a year and solidly focused on Houdini. But let's say on and off the last 2 years, maybe a little bit more, but I'd say 2 years. But I've only delved into the modeling side. There's obviously the VFX side, there's the animation side, there's a lot that goes into Houdini. But this part that absolutely fascinates me is the modeling side. I have been looking at courses to branch out on my knowledge because I would say I'm at a somewhat maybe intermediate level of Houdini when it comes to modeling. Um, I would like to be more advanced than I am, but I haven't had time to fully dedicate to this. Um, because Houdini is brilliant, it's very useful, but it's also very niche. And as a freelancer, there's not much room for niche software. So because I do predominantly freelance, um, it's one of those very specialized softwares that you typically, if you get hired by a studio for Houdini, you're only going to be doing a Houdini, which dream job by the way. But bottom line is it's not something you can casually really specialize in. You need to decide, okay, I want to do Houdini and I want to do really want to do Houdini and that's what I want to focus on. And then when you do that, you could get really, really advanced rather quickly. But you need to put in the hours. So because let's be honest, modeling this in Maya or Blender or even ZBrush would be much, much quicker. But you do not have the ability to then go in and change things. So, for example, I can change the roof height at a click of a button. Well, not the roof height, the overall height of the object. And as you notice, the roof height actually stayed the same because I've got a separate control for the actual roof height. And I can then go on the roof height and say, well, I want to stretch that, I want this to be flatter, I can play around with it. I can change the height of the ornaments that are both on the side and on the top. But this is actually not supposed to be controlling both of these. So that's something I need to fix because I've actually got a separate control for the ornament size. So I don't really want those to be interconnected, so that's something I can fix. I've again got a separate control for the profile of the ornaments. I'm not sure whether there's, I think it's the ornament profile. Yeah. So you don't have the ability to change all these parameters in the other software. Which is why I'm doing it in Houdini, even though it's slower. I want to be able to create 20 different lanterns, have them all look different, but without modeling them all. Without modeling them all, because they do take a while. If you were to model 20 lanterns, have them all look different, you would spend a lot more time modeling. I had no idea Houdini was so modular for its surface. Yes, yes it is. Well, it depends. You can model not destructively. You can model destructively, and by destructively I mean like physically going in beyond somewhere where I can actually control this thing. Let's say, what have I broken? You can then go in and manually select something. You can say extrude. And then you would extrude this thing. Now this I would call destructive, because yes, I can always go back and change the amount I'm extruding or whatever, but if I change the poly count on this object at all, that's going to jump. A bit like, okay, open my arm. Because Blender will, I don't know if Blender has a control for this. Don't know if you can change this in Blender, but we'll use Maya as an example. Just quickly opening it up. It's going to take a while. Maya is a bit slow. I envy the Blender users and their fast opening software, even though I do not enjoy modeling it in Blender. But yeah, so oh, I can leave that for a second. Let's see. But yeah, bottom line is, the modeling side of Houdini is often used to quickly generate environments, especially buildings for environments, because you can do it procedurally. I know the Rebel Way does a tutorial for modeling buildings, specifically in Houdini, making it procedural that they then alter to quickly generate a vast variety of buildings for an environment that was Star Wars inspired, I believe. I think a lot of their tutorials were Star Wars inspired. But Firestorm Studios is also going to be diving into tutorials. So if you guys have specific things you want to learn, let us know. You can let us know in the chat, but also on Discord, because we are definitely diving into tutorials because we've got a vast variety of talents on the team. I do mostly the procedural stuff. Heather does a lot of sculpting, stylized sculpting. We've also got people doing realism. I predominantly do realism, but yeah, bottom line is, if there's stuff you want to see, let us know. Right, so finally got software open. Now my viewport is a little bit funny because I'm working on my tablet and my tablet screen is obviously at a weird scale, so to speak. So everything gets a little bit stretched, but we're gonna work with it. So we want to create a cube, right? Now, in Maya, if you were to have, how many faces is that? 6 faces, right? Six faces, and then you, let's say, take this, extrude, not add divisions, let's keep that up. 1, turn faces off, and I'm actually going to do offset. Right, okay, but if I then go back into my cube's original parameters, and if I then change the number of segments to, argument's sake, 10. No, that's the height. That is the height. That one. It breaks. We still have 6 extrudes, but the placement has changed because the number of faces changed. So that's what I mean by it kind of breaks with manual selection. And this is true for both Maya, Houdini, Blender, any software you use, even 3ds Max. But what kind of sets Houdini apart is you have the ability to select things procedurally with groups or predominantly groups. So you've got predominantly groups to specify, to isolate selection. Basically, you've got different types of groups. You've got, you can do a group by range, which I'm using a lot for this project, specifically on the roof, also on the pillars, and a lot of other areas that we can take a look at in a second. But bottom line is that's kind of what sets it apart. You always maintain the ability to change things. I was for a second very worried that that the software is going to crash because of the phrase. So I've said this because I'm quite frankly, I'm highly off topic now, but I'm working out of a crash file because when one of my previous streams, Houdini crashed. Now, Houdini does not crash all that often for me, at least not as often as Maya. But it does crash. Hello. I'm sorry, I'm terrible with name. Exiles. Odd. That one. Hello, welcome. How are you? So yeah, bottom line is, I can go on tangents about Houdini for literal hours. In fact, there has been shorts, YouTube shorts of me going on tangents about Houdini. So let's try not to do that today. But okay, so we've got that. There was something I wanted to fix. 3D software and crashing at inopportune times. Named a more iconic couple. Yes. It never crashes at the time that would be convenient. You know, right after a save, that's a convenient time to crash. It's not going to do that. It's going to crash after 2 hours or 3 hours of working without saving, because I am, fun fact, notorious for the fact that I do not save. It's not a good thing. It's not a good thing at all, especially when you're working under strict deadlines. To be fair, it's never bitten me too bad. I've always been able to finish on time despite not saving. I always wanted to make procedural modeling with Houdini to make environments like cityscapes, but never got the time to get into it. Now's as good a time as any. Houdini is absolutely brilliant for environments, especially cityscapes, because there's so many things you can edit and change. Um, it is intimidating to learn, and it does take some time. Um, but, and I've talked about this a lot, but this vast majority of this lantern is built with using the same technique. And that's a line. It's literally a line that I'm manipulating in a similar way I would a curve, but more procedurally. Um, Now, for cityscapes, you would probably not use lines. You would most likely use a lot more cubes. Lots of cubes. Um, but the principle of it is the same. Um, very useful for it. Right, so focusing for half a second. I'm not very good at focusing today. What I want to do, and what I want to fix, is the fact that if we quickly jump back to our control down at the bottom, I try to make my controls red just because it's very visible. Makes it easy to change stuff, fix stuff, and all that fun stuff. Right, so my problem is if I change the roof height, I think it's a roof height. It's not the roof height. It's the roof top height. It's the roof top height. Um, if I change the height of this thing on top, it also changes the ornament's height, which I don't want them to be connected. I want them to be separate from each other, so that's something I want to fix. I do potentially want to have a separate control for the height of the ornaments themselves. That is something we can look at. It's not something I've done yet, but that is something we can look at. So, right, let's see what's going on here. This is all the way up at the top, and the height would most likely be connected to the line at the top. Yes, and there you can see our problem. So the first thing we're going to do is actually build another separate control for it. Now our control is getting a little bit cluttered at the moment, so we should probably start organizing it a little bit better because our things aren't categorized. Okay, let's edit this. Is there a way? There should be a way to folder it. Let's create a folder. Main. Let's say. Copy, paste. Is there a way for me to add these into that? Yes, there is. Fantastic. So height and width is all related to the main shape. And then height of the pedestal we've technically voided, but let's put that in there as well. I want a separate one for the roof. So that's going to be another folder. Don't want it to be in the middle. I actually want this to be probably around about there. And this is going to be roof. What if I can add a label instead? Because we'll see what we get. We'll see what we get. Let's first try one thing and then focus on changing it. So the roof is going to be the roof height. That's rooftop. It's not going to be the ornaments because the ornaments are not technically part of the roof. Platform pattern. That's part of the main shape. Roof bottom. What's roof bottom do? I don't know. We'll keep that as is, and then we'll put that up here and that up there. And then ornaments all the way at the bottom. Let's apply. Main shape, roof. Now the question is, where is my ornament stuff? It's not at the roof. Ornament profile. It's down at the bottom. Okay, so that's not ideal. So let's add another folder. Why not? So that's going to be ornaments. Ornaments, and that's going to be ornament size. Ornament profile. Brilliant. Let's apply that. Main shape. Platform pattern. Pedestal that we cannot change. Roof bottom. I'm gonna change the naming of that because roof bottom is very confusing. So that is going to be roof. Keep that as roof. And that's actually roof height. But we already have it labeled as roof at the top, so technically I don't like that too. Okay, we'll do it roof height, why not? I think I can keep it separate and label below it, so let's do... I'm gonna live with the two. Height. And that is all well and good. Let's apply that, see what that's doing. Brilliant. That's not actually the roof height, you know, is it? I'm quickly going to undo a bunch of stuff. Not that many. Very do that. We do want the ornaments. Roof bottom. What is the roof bottom? Does nothing. Unless I wanted a separate control to control the bottom of the thing. But I don't actually think we need that. So. Let's discard that. Delete it actually. Roof height can change to just height, but that explains why. Well, we'll keep it at roof, but do height at the bottom. In theory, if I understand all of this correctly, the reason why I was getting 2 was because there was already a roof height. Now, what did I have in mind for roof bottom? Who knows? I added control for it, but apparently I was not using it. Guys, think carefully about naming, because otherwise you'll be in my situation where I've got a bunch of names and I don't know what any of them means. Right, so this will be roof ornament, because it's not technically the rooftop, it's an ornament. So roof ornament, height. Doesn't need to be actually have a roof in it, because we've got a roof label at the top, so we need to know all of this is related to that. So that is going to be ornament. Right, fantastic. Now we've also got a separate ornaments, but I know this is all related to the roof, so it's fine. Right. Brilliant. Now obviously the little ornaments on the side here is very, very broken and not working correctly. But that was the thing that we actually wanted to fix. So, we've got ornament size. And I want to change that so it only affects the width of the ornaments. And then I want a separate one for the height, because I want those to scale independently. I do not want them to be stagnant, so to speak. I don't want them to scale uniformly. That was the word I was looking for. So back to editing. So that is going to change to width, and that's going to be let's do ornament width, and then below it it's just going to be width. The difference between the two is, I'll try to explain that, but bottom line is the label is the one we'll actually see if we look at our menu, so to speak. So let's apply that, and then ornament profile is fine. We also want, it's not a vector, it's a float, we want one for the height, so that's going to be ornament height, and that is technically 2 because we've got another ornament up the top, but it's fine. So let's do that, apply that. all well and good. This is very broken. Do not worry, we'll fix it. Let's copy that parameter. It's just because it's connected to everything and set to 0 basically. That is why it is broken. So, ornaments. This one is the one at the bottom. Where is our roof top? I'm not splitting this out. That's a circle. That is that. Where's this going? Copy to point. That is copying to the top. Yeah, that's copying to the top. Where is our... Okay. Found it. Our roof ornament is over here. Again, we'll need to do organization at some point. I've not done it yet. What is this utter chaos? Let's see. Where does this go? That merges down into that. What have I broken? I've definitely broken something. Oh well. Let's see if I do things. Let's see. We just frame this thing so I can see where I am in the network. Alright. Nothing is visible at this point. Okay, we've got it upside down. That's half the problem. Alright. Select point. Okay, that will be zeroed out because we're not affecting scale right now. So let's fix that for a second and then we can see what's actually going on here. That's going to be ornament height. Copy that parameter. Let's put it at 1. And then we're going to paste it into the line. Firstly, delete channels, and then I'm just going to put that at 1 for now, and then paste relative references, and that did nothing. That did absolutely nothing. I've got a very broken network. Right, let's see what is actually still functional. Nothing is functional at this stage. Okay. Let's see. At what point does this thing break? I've definitely taken this back too far. See, because we do want the ornaments, we do want that. Right. Right. I don't know what I've broken. This is very fun. In other words, not all. Am I just too zoomed out? Most likely, I think it's that. Where's the center? It's not really allowing me to zoom in properly. So I have tried framing selected and it does not do that. Can I please frame selected? No, I cannot. Okay. Brilliant. Right. This is roof. Come on. Ugh. Is there a way to reset my camera? Surely there is. No cam, perspective. None of that is helping me. Right. My hope is if I zoom in enough, I'll eventually get to where I want to be and can reopen the software and it'll hopefully be fixed. Because it's definitely just zoomed out. Ugh, this is awful. Absolutely awful. Okay, let's see. I'm going to save that and quit. And see if I can fix this camera by reopening the software. Is that wishful thinking? Yes, it is. Yes, it is wishful thinking. But we're going to work with it and hope for the best. And hopefully it did not just crash. The camera is just going from play to flashbacks. Yes, yes. And I quite frankly have no idea what I did to break it. So that always makes it even more interesting. So let's get rid of Maya as well. I've never had camera issues in Maya, which is shocking. But I've had a lot of camera issues in Blender. I've had a lot of camera issues in Houdini. I've not had that many in ZBrush. But I mean, it's one of those things. Now I'm really fingers crossed hoping that opening and closing the software fixes it. It's probably, I'm cautiously optimistic, but it's probably not going to work. But you know, we'll work with it. I could potentially make a new camera. That is something I could try. If I make a new camera that should, in theory, by default, be at the world origin completely zoomed in, and that should fix it. Hopefully. The only downside to Houdini is I think Maya takes forever to open, Houdini takes longer. Did not always. When I started using Houdini, it was as, I'd say as quick as Blender, but definitely quicker than Maya to open. But since then, it takes like 5 minutes to open, it feels like. Not quite that long, but it feels that long. So we're gonna wait, hopefully not too long, and then it'll one day decide to grace us with its presence. So let's see. Blender feels so convenient on paper, but then I get inside it and it's like popsicle sticks glued together with hopes and dreams. Don't hate it, but I don't love it. I'm with you there. I'm with you there. I know they do say Blender is very user friendly. I've not had that experience. I've really not had that experience. Right, so talking about hopes and dreams glued together, this camera is one of those hopes and dreams that are glued together. Let's just see, what direction are we going? We're going in that direction. I don't know why this is so broken though. It's very frustrating. What have we got there? If I knew what broke, I could fix it. Blender is so user-friendly and it's free. You have to buy multiple my add-ons. Totally. Yes. 1000% yes. I don't think Blender is bad. By default, it's just not my preference to work in it. Yeah. Bottom line is not my preference. No. This is still very broken. Why are you very broken? At this stage, I don't even have a grid. Right, so visibility. No. Can I frame this in some way? Apparently not. It would not be a stream if something didn't go insanely wrong. Of course, this is a situation where I've quite literally never experienced this problem before. But let's try something else. Let's get a cube. View that. Totally cannot see it. New camera, maybe? No, no. Right. Okay, so in theory, this point should be at the center of the world. In theory. And I cannot select it, of course. It lives up to its name and made everything disappear. It 1000% did make everything disappear. It's most likely just a button somewhere that I'm missing. But the big question is, how did it make everything disappear? Because this is not ideal. Okay. Let me open another file. Maybe I can dump everything into it. And let's see. Save to gallery. Can I do that? Mountain. Don't want to save it there. Let's see if I can just import this into a new file. Because this one is very broken. Alright, so that's going to be that one, and that's going to be that one. Lantern, lantern, geo. Why not? Let's accept. Right. New one, and is there a gallery thing? No, there is not. Import. Lock import. I don't know if that'll work, but we'll try that. Why not? No, not lock import. Right. Let's see. No, I don't want to actually save and open. Wait. Let's go. Let's go. Just roll and open. No, it failed. Inconvenient. Very inconvenient. Right. Back to the drawing board. I want this thing. So that's going to be create digital asset. Why not? Right. And I want to save it. Not to here. I want to save it to where? Firestorm. Trimming. Lantern. Fantastic. Okay, I'm going to put this under Geo. Oh no, wait, there's a folder for HDAs. Let's do that. And then accept that. Create. It's going to take a second to load. Hello Zisab, how are you? We've got same if the problems there, not bad. I don't know what that means. We're gonna go with it. So back on track. I've destroyed everything. That is Houdini. So it's still giving errors. That's so annoying though. Do we have a thing for HDAs? Import. File. See if we can do it for file. Render, no. Not file. Alternatively, you mentioned earlier that you get bored in ZBrush. What did you mean by that? Right. Very controversial, but the reason for that is it's very repetitive. So it's basically the same thing over and over and over. By that I mean, let's say you're sculpting cloth. By the time I figured out how to do a single cloth fold, I'm bored. Because now I have to do it 20 million times to get the full clothing item sculpted with cloth folds. So I find it doesn't engage my mind in the way that Houdini can and does. With Houdini, I'm constantly problem solving, even if that is as simple as my camera went bonkers and I don't know where my geometry is. So that is why I enjoy working in Houdini or even Maya, because it's also constant problem solving. It's not the same motion over and over, generally speaking, of course. Um, so that is why I get bored in ZBrush. It's so creative, which is a good thing. But I'm not a creative person by default. Give me a picture, I can create the picture. I do not want to figure out how the picture should look. I want to figure out how to create the picture, sure, but I don't want to, yeah. Bottom line is, it's very creative, which is fine, but it's just not my preferred way of working. Right, what else can I try? I can look at, what time is it? No, I've got a backup from 9:05. It's currently 9:35. I don't think I've spent 30 minutes trying to figure out how to fix this file, but I'll rather revert and have it fixed. Now, having said this, I didn't mean ZBrush is bad by any means. It's just not the thing that makes me happy to do 3D. I can work in ZBrush, and I do work in ZBrush a lot. But if I had a choice, I would not use it as much as I do. I think a lot of people that go into 3D end up loving ZBrush the most because it is the most creative. There's no doubt about it being the most creative. The repetition is precisely why I love it. The stability and consistency of workflow just makes me feel all warm and cozy. I get how others would find it boring when you explain it like that, though. Yes. The thing is, I think it caters to a specific type of person, and I'm not really that type of person. I'm one of those people that I don't like repetition. Once the task gets repetitive, my brain kind of disengages and I start procrastinating. So what I typically do is, if I have to sculpt, I'll listen to an audiobook, or I'll listen to music as well. But I find music doesn't engage my brain enough for me to be able to focus when I'm working in ZBrush. That, or I'll play with workflows. If the task becomes repetitive, I'll engage my mind by finding a more efficient way of doing the thing. Or I'll try a different software to do its thing. Even if it's not always the most efficient, it's different, so therefore it is interesting. But I don't want anyone to take this and go, ZBrush is bad or ZBrush is boring. It's not. It's just for me because of how my brain works. I'm definitely a problem solver by nature. I don't like repetitive, which is fine. We're all different, and I think that's why we all have different strengths and why things work the way they do. We can't all be people that enjoy working in Houdini. We need sculptors. We really need sculptors. What do you think about AI taking over 3D industry? Should I continue learning Houdini? 1000% learn Houdini. I've talked to a few people about it. I'm talking veterans of the industry, and they all say either they regret not spending more time in Houdini or pursuing it, or they say not necessarily that it's easier to find work as a Houdini artist, but that it opens up opportunities that the other software just doesn't. I don't think Houdini is a software that's going to get replaced by AI very easily. just because it is so specialized. And the thing that makes Houdini so special is the level of control you have. For example, as I mentioned, I'm building this network and I can change this lantern to look any way I want it to look. I can change it so that it's more of a cathedral than it is a lantern. I can remove the roof at the bottom. Yeah, let's say the roof at the bottom. I can remove the archways that are below this point, and have it open so that maybe I add stairs to it. I can alter that network into this network to fit multiple use cases with a very fine level of control. Now, AI will never be able to do that. May I say never? Most likely never. Because the thing that AI does very good is it's very good at generating ideas. Blender art is going to get placed not into any artists, I guess. Well, you say that, but Blender has geometry nodes, and people build procedural environments in Blender using geometry nodes. So Blender artists aren't going to get replaced either because they've got all the avenues to explore. Now, talking about 3D in general, I don't think 3D artists are going to be replaced completely, because AI can't really replicate. I don't know how to. I can visualize it, struggling to explain it, but bottom line is, when it comes to technical parameters, let's take topology for example, there is a specific flow that topology needs to have in order to animate a face. Alright? Okay? AI can do the general. It can give you topology, maybe not at this stage, but it can give you topology for a face that is able to be animated. But can it give you the topology you need for a specific result, a specific feature? Maybe you need a specific edge flow for a forehead that's unusual. AI will struggle to do that because it's not got that technical background. So yeah, I've been hearing people say AI is taking over 3D for some years now. It hasn't happened yet, and even if it did, you can always do 3D as an indie artist for game movies and animations. Yes, and not only that, I've been working on AI models for the last, and I'll branch out on that, but I've been working on AI models for the last year. Now, what do I mean by that? By that I mean I've had clients come to me and say, this is the AI model I generated, fix it. Why is that? Because it does not meet the technical required parameters. The topology is bad, the UVs is bad, the textures are bad, everything is bad. There's no high poly, you can't change the fine details of the model, you've got a normal map, there's no high poly for you to manipulate or refine further. Now, can this change? Sure, it can. Maybe one day you do get the high poly as well. That's fine. But at the end of the day, your AI can only do so much. For example, I had a client who wanted a backpack. AI generated the backpack. Fantastic. But he didn't just want a backpack. He wanted a backpack with the ability to zip open and have a full interior. AI couldn't do that. AI could not give him the topology he needed in order to animate it. It could not give him the interior of the backpack. He had this very niche specific requirements, and due to the fact that AI couldn't give it to him, he had to hire a modeler to do it. Me being that modeler. So point is, AI can do a lot, but there are certain things it's never going to be able to do because it's not going to be cost or time efficient to get AI to a point where it can cater to every specific scenario that the human mind can come up with. It's just not designed to go that far. I think where it does have a good application is ideation. I think it's good for tasting concepts. What do you like? What silhouette do you like? What color schemes do you like? That type of thing. I think it's brilliant for. But completely replacing artists. I don't think that's going to happen. I think it might replace certain areas of our workflow. That could potentially happen, but I don't think we're at this stage, at least from what I'm seeing that AI is doing. I don't think we're in danger at this stage. So yes. Now AI is obviously always also bad for the environment. That's also an element of it, but it's also expensive. AI is very expensive. And I think it's going to be a very long time before AI is cheaper than artists. And even then, I don't think it'll deliver the standard of work or the level of specialization that artists do. But yeah, that's kind of how my thought process goes in terms of AI and whether it will steal all our jobs and all of that. I do think it's something to keep an eye on, though. I don't think turning a blind eye to what AI is doing and how it's evolving is a good idea. Now, this is probably too late to preface this, but this is all my personal opinions and things I've heard, things I've seen. So take what I say with a grain of salt, do your own research, and see what you come up with. Form your own opinions. This is just where I am and what I've seen and what I've heard and experienced. So yeah, that's basically it in a nutshell. So yeah, getting back to the lantern, I've opened up an old file. I've opened up a backup. We've now got a lantern that is visible. AI won't be able to handle the 99th revision given by the client. Yes, 1000% yes. And for example, AI will also struggle with when a client doesn't know what they want. Client doesn't know what they want. Where a person can go and ask those clarifying questions or give ideas. I can't give you the ideas. You need to give AI the ideas. So I think we're okay for now. Right. So. Let's see what we've got left. Also had a saved file. I actually saved the other day. 923. This is, let's see. That was a backup. I've got a more recent save. I hope. Hopefully I didn't save after the thing crashed. Well, not crashed. Just got destroyed catastrophically. I am, while I'm at it, going to close some files down. So that one. And this broken network. No, I don't want to save that. I'm not going to try and fix it either because I spent enough time trying to fix that. So let's see what we have in the saved version. And on that topic of saving, don't do what I do and just save a new version. Please save a new version and label it as well. I'm not very good at doing that on stream, especially in my own personal professional workflow. I do label it and I do save versions and I do go through all of that. But when I'm streaming, I talk so much that I lose track of everything. So it's just one of those things. I can't work, talk, and remember to save. Those three don't go together. I can only multitask so far. So we're gonna see. Hopefully this version is all well and good. Come on, don't take so long to open. Please don't take so long. I want to see I think the point of this file is at the point where we've just not added the labels. I suspect. The other one, because this one is saved at 903. And the other one was saved at 923. So it's almost open. Let's see. Hello. I think this one was already broken. Okay, yeah, it was already broken. So we're gonna work with this one. It is fine. It is fine. I'll redo the control. Why not? While I'm at it, I actually want to see what the rooftop was initially made to do. Right, so the rooftop is actually the ornament thing, which just labeled very badly. But because I changed the naming to, can I change the naming to ornament? I don't know. Okay, so focus. Let us see. We need folders. We need a folder for the overall main body. We need a folder for the roof. We need a folder for the ornaments. Now I don't want these folders to be inside, so let's remove that. And move this one as well. Come on. Move. Or not. Let's see. Brilliant. Okay, so this is going to be main body. And I should be able to spell one here. That's the main body. And in that we want the height, the width. I thought I was having a shrug. This is really Castlevania music. Twitch and YouTube has really strong copyright things. So the advice I got was to use game music, because typically game music is somewhat copyright free. So I've got a random playlist from Spotify that is playing music for us, and this majority is related to games. We can check which it is. Castlevania, Curse of Darkness, that one. I'm not a gamer actually, so it's been interesting. Right, so pedestal height, I'm also going to put in here. Ornament profile. Platform profile. Yeah, let's add platform profile to this. Come on. Don't be like that. I want you in between there. Still in the... There we go. I've never met someone in 3D who didn't play games. I'm shocked. My gaming experience is the sum total of Sims 4 and Minecraft. I got into 3D because I enjoy the process of 3D. I didn't even watch movies. So I went in it because I enjoy the process of doing 3D modeling, not because I necessarily enjoy the end result. So once my part of the process is done up to my standard, and maybe above my standard, of course, I don't really mind what happens afterwards. Though I am curious to see the end result, of course. I'm not so connected to the end result of the overall project. I more enjoy my part of the process. Very controversial to say, and hopefully this does not get edited in some form for short. But yes, bottom line is I basically have no knowledge of games or movies or even TV series. Absolute blasphemy to say, but it's one of those things. Right, so that is that. This one is going to be roof. And that's going to be roof height. Neither movies or games or TV. How do you live? I read. I do a lot of reading. Absolutely love reading. Is it a good thing? Probably not. Probably not a good thing. Especially with the industry, and one of the first questions you often get asked in interviews is, what games do you enjoy playing? And I'm like, do I lie? Do I be honest? What do I say? Um, so it's a bit of an interesting situation to be in, because our field is so creative, and I think most people that go into this industry go into it because they have a passion for games and I'm not that type of person. I think it's something I need to work on. Because I think playing games, watching movies gives you a different insight into what the requirements of a project is. Um, it gives you a better idea of the overall workflow as well. Your unicorn is incredible. Thank you. I love unicorns. Unicorns, witches, fairies, love those things. I also read fantasy books, so of course I do. So I don't play games, but I do read fantasy books. Right. So that is that. Naming one. So I actually want this to be last because we're not actually editing this. So do that, and then a roof bottom height. So this, where did I move it? Roof height, okay. And this is going to change to this height. Rooftop. That's probably the roof ornament. So, roof ornament. And that's going to be ornament height. Why not? Let's just apply this for a second. See what we're working with. Now this is probably no longer connected to anything. Roof bottom. What was roof bottom? I think we're gonna remove roof bottom again. I think I already removed it last time as well. And then ornament size needs to be height. And then we're going to have a separate one for width. Also going to be a float. So that is going to be ornament for width. And that's just going to be width. And then ornament profile, ornament shape. I actually want one for the shape control for the actual rooftop ornament thing. But that's a later problem. Okay, that's all well and good. Let's apply that, accept that, and we're good to go. Now, currently the ornament height is there. I wonder what these lines are. We'll figure that out in a moment. We're going to save. And actually we're going to save as. I just put save, but we're going to save as because this is a crash file, or a backup file, it's not actually a file. So let's save as. Lots of crashing. Load is due. Yeah, that one. Why not? Do back, and that's going to be brilliant. Brilliant. I suspect these lines going up to the top is the actual ornaments that have woodwork in theory, because we've nothing determining their scale, etc. So height, that is down here, and we're going to see where the size is coming from. I believe it's this one. Okay, so it's reference, right, and then we've got width that is getting determined. What about the transform? That's translation, I'm going to leave that. Scale, ornament height. Let's delete channel. on those. And then this also, gonna put that at 1. We're gonna put that at 1, and then we're going to grab width. This looks very broken, by the way, but I suspect if we've got width in, we'll be good to go. Okay, so it's a reference. And then obviously this is set to 0. What have I done? This is completely broken. Oh. Oh. This is why. Because I've added a thing here. Right, so let's see. That is going to be, and that will pop. And we're quickly going to delete channels and place for this reference, and then we're going to reshape them. So this is going to be, I wonder if I'm actually going to take the other control for this. That's going to be, where is it? Roof control. I'm just going to copy that parameter for now, just to give us a base to work with. So that's going to be in there, and that's going to be paste values. Brilliant. And then we can take the width down. Now this width is also affecting our thing up top, which I don't actually want. I wonder, let's zero that out for a second. No, we can't zero it out. Well, let's see. Let us see, that's going to be transform. I'm quickly going to delete channels. Put those all at 1. Oh wow, that's huge. We're going to give it the benefit of the doubt. That's 1 as well. Brilliant. Okay. Did not destroy it too far. Right. Hi, as you're doing hard to do modeling in. It can be difficult, but it is very fun. It's in my opinion, with learning. I really enjoy working in Houdini. It's maybe not, it's a bit niche, in the sense of it's not the software everyone will learn. Because there's a lot of other softwares that you can do modeling in that's maybe more efficient. Now, the reason why you might want to do modeling in Houdini is because of how procedural it is. So in that sense, it's good. But I predominantly do it just because I enjoy it. It's very fun to model in Houdini. Difficult, but fun. Alright, so. What I want to do is I want the ability to scale this without scaling the what do you call it? Without scaling the spear on top as well. So to do that, I'm going to add a transform. Why not? We're going to add a transform before we copy the spear into this. So that is connecting down to the merge. So we need a transform at this point. We do not have a space for the transform at this point, but we're going to make space. So that's going to this. It goes down a little bit, and that's going to be the merge, and that is going to be it. And then we're going to take this value and paste it into that one, that one, and then it breaks. But do not worry, if I did this correctly, we should be able to fix it. Brilliant. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Right, now obviously this part will also affect our overall scale. Can I select multiple? Yeah. Move these down a little bit. And then if we reduce the height as well, we can play around with it. Right, brilliant. Now I don't actually like the shape, but we'll adjust it as need be. So that is going to be. Now I don't want to select everything now. I just want the one. So maybe because I want the chop to be a little bit thicker, just because of the thing we've got up top there. What do we have up top with the spear? I need it to be thicker because we've got a spear up top. Right, so let's move that down, and then I'm going to scale that up, and then we're going to take that one, scale that a little bit up, and maybe this one a little bit down. So I do want some type of point, and then I could possibly also add a spear at the top to alter. Well, a spear, control at the bottom to adjust the size of the spear as needed. But for now, we're just going to leave that as it is, and then we're going to adjust the scale. So, alright, I gotta jump into ZBrush. It was nice talking to you, getting to see Houdini up close. Have fun and don't forget to save. Enjoy ZBrush, and thank you for joining me today. I'll be heading out myself pretty soon, but I'm just going to finish off here. So yeah, enjoy the ZBrush, and thank you for joining. Right, so scale. There we go. That is a better scale. Now, what else do we want to change? I want to check whether everything is still working. So that is the height of the ornament. That is all well and good, I think. Let's see. Yep, that is all well and good. You can squish it, you cannot squish it. Roof height is still functional. Brilliant. Ornament height is functional and now disconnected to the ornaments on the side, which I'm very, very happy about. And then the main body, we can adjust the height still. That is all well and good. We can also adjust the width. This gives us a very interesting result, but we can, in theory, adjust the width. Maybe not this far, because at this point things start breaking. But generally speaking, we can adjust things. And yeah, I think that'll be it for today. So thank you guys for joining me and watching me struggle through problematic software. And I hope you guys will enjoy the rest of your day or night. Bye, everyone.